Oksana from funstamper.com. Here is a little preview what we're gonna do. So this is the fall cards, and they both have a little twist. Again, it's super simple card and also super efficient. You know how I like cards that you could actually be really successful doing, but also, you know, not also wasting a lot of paper and stuff like that. So it opens like this, and there's two little flaps opens as well. And what is nice, it actually stands really nice on a table. It kind of have this presentation. And this is a simpler version, and I'm featuring Country Home stamp set, and I'll talk about it in a minute why. So it's just a really simple version. I didn't even decorate inside. So it's the same. It stands really, really well. So I kind of wanted to, September, officially September. I came from my vacation. Thank you everybody for wishing me happy anniversary. We had a great time in Savannah with my husband. I could not believe how like 5 days just flew by. We just had so much fun. So it's finally time to create for fall. This card featuring, it's in a new catalog. Let's see. This new bundle, and I always love to look on the fall colors and see what is there. So it's called Gilded Autumn Suite, and especially I like the paper. I always like to see what paper is kind of featuring, and I like this really neutral colors with copper and gold and mint macaroon. It's really, really pretty. And we're gonna use this paper, and we're gonna use a stamp set as well. So this is stamp set. It comes with sponge. I also like stuff with sponge. It's coming really fast. If you do like mass producing. And other stamp set that we're gonna use comes in a big catalog. It's called Country Home. So I'm actually doing a class on it this month, featuring this particular stamp set. I sometimes feel that we have such a great stamp sets, and when new catalog comes, it gets a little bit forgotten. So we're gonna use that. So let's get creative and let's start creating our fold. So what we will need to see, here's the measurements. Measurements are pretty simple, and I will try to explain why we kind of using those specific measurements. So we will start with one sheet of paper, and we'll need to cut it slightly different. So let me and I decided to kind of use the same paper as I used before, mint macaron. I think it's so unusual. So what you need to do first, we're not gonna cut it like long way, short way. You know, we're gonna cut, hold on, my arm is not coming here. So what you need to do first, that's what I recommend you to do first, it's cut at 8 3/8. And this piece that left, we're gonna actually use, it's 2 1/4 by 8 1/2. So we need this piece. And now this piece, it's 8 1/2 by 8 3/4, not quite a square. Then you turn to 8 1/2 side, and you're gonna score it as you normally do. You score it 4 1/4. So it's basically, it's your basis for 2 cards, but the bottom only is for 1. So what I did for my other card, I decided to mix and match, and I decided to introduce a strip of paper, what is 2 1/4 by 8 1/2, and we're gonna mix and match. And I actually really like that mix and match kind of approach, because you don't need to use so many different cardstock to kind of highlight and do different layers. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna score. And scoring is actually pretty simple. So your big piece, what you're gonna do, you're gonna score your big piece as you normally do at 5 1/2. So you don't need to kind of remember much, right? So you score it at 5 1/2. And this has become your base of the card. It's just shorter. Remember, we cut this little piece out, I'm sorry. So, and this small piece, what we're gonna do, it's almost like a gate fold card. So we're gonna fold them kind of inside, leaving 4 1/4 in the middle. So we're gonna score a 2 1/8 on both sides. I find that, you know, I'm kind of successful when I kind of rotate versus remembering this way. So here is again 2 1/8 and another 2 1/8. And this piece we will score at 5 1/2 as we're gonna create 2 cards. And stay tuned, I create a Christmas cards, which just last minute, didn't have that much time this week. So now let's just start with a simpler card. Because again, how much of designer paper and things you could add, it's gonna be up to you. So I actually was practicing for this fold. I saw it, but I never did it. So I kind of found some retired paper, and you could see, you could just add designer paper kind of in a different color, and it creates kind of nice fold. So for this one, as you could see, I didn't even add a designer paper here. I was just stamp things around. So it's really kind of not too much supplies and pretty quick to do. So what we need for this card, for card number 1, so we will need a piece to put inside. As you could see, when we fold it, what we also will need to do, we need to glue this piece down. And this is what becomes your fold, right? But you could kind of see, especially as we're using 2 different colors. So we will use piece, I put with Provide, but this actually paper is coordinated with Very Vanilla. So this piece is Very Vanilla. And I'm not gonna do anything for the top, but you could actually do 4x3 piece. And those pieces gonna be just slightly smaller, like 1/4 inch smaller. So those pieces gonna be 2 inches tall and 1 7/8. I know sometimes this 1 7/8 is a little bit, you know, not convenient, but because remember we score at 2 1/8, this is a 1/4 sheet, this is what we will need to do. So other thing, what I recommend, you really need to have a strong adhesive. But what I kind of figured out when I do things, what is really easy for me is actually use a wet adhesive. Because when you're gonna glue, you want to scooch it as kind of to the bottom as possible, right? So wet glue gives you that flexibility. Versus tear tape will work, but tear tape, you know, if you press it, it's not gonna, you will not be able sometime to move. But this one gives you that flexibility. So you go ahead and adhere it to the kind of a line, all 4 sides, to the best of your ability. And what you could also do here, and I probably do, again, depends how you glue it, depends how you score it, right? Just see if this piece folds nicely. This one folds nicely, but if you kind of feel that it's something on the way, you may want to cut like little sliver from the top. Now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna glue our pieces inside, and it's gonna be creating our base fold. Again, this fold is really easy. The only difference that you kind of glue those arms on the bottom. All right, and then this beautiful designer paper. Kind of wanted to use this one with, I mean, both pieces are really pretty, right? It's hard to figure it out which one you want to use. Sometimes I don't like when paper is that pretty, because then you kind of like, do I want to use it? They want to save it. Which side to use it? If they're both pretty, you're kind of in trouble. So, all right. So here's your base fold. So what we're gonna do now, again, like I was saying, this version is your simple version. So what I wanted to do now, I wanted to add a little bit of texture. And I decided to use this image Both images are really, really pretty. But I wanted to use this image, and I wanted to use it with just tone on tone. If you don't have all the inks and you kind of like to create tone on tone, Versamark is really, really good option. So Versamark, it's kind of like a glue. But what you can do with that, basically you could emboss, but you could actually stamp on a cardstock and it creates that wet image. We'll need to do it next time. But it's that one ink pad actually gives you a lot of flexibility. So we will go ahead and kind of randomly stamp. I wonder if you ladies started to do your fall cards yet. It's nice and cool down a little bit here in Florida. It's still super hot, but in Georgia, I could not believe how hot it was in Savannah. It's much hotter. It was like 96. In the middle of the day was pretty hard to walk. So we created our base. And now, basically, we will need to have a focal point. So any die you have could work. You need to have a bigger piece. Could be circle, could be label-wise. You pick what you want. So for this one, and I decided for this one to go with copper. I think it's gonna look really pretty. So this one is Sweetly Stitched, the biggest one. And this is just piece of very vanilla. I cut it 2.5 by 3/5. I kind of see what's fitting. And we will stamp the same image as far on top as possible. And then we're gonna color. As you could see, it's already super pretty. Of course, I will not let you wait until that I color. I already color, and also did this little jug as well. So I just stamped, instead of Memento, I use Early Espresso right now a lot. It gives that softer look. So, and it's also easy to color. So we're gonna just go ahead and glue this piece, and I use similar colors. So I use Cajun Craze, mint macaroon, and stuff like that. So kind of add a little bit to the image. Again, not really extensive coloring. If you have markers, you have any other media to color, it will work. So, and the last thing what you're gonna do, you're gonna attach this piece. And the easiest way, you're gonna do it with dimensionals. It's always the easiest way, at least for me. So I just turn it around, look in the top, and add 2 dimensionals, and then one kind of in the center towards the top. Then I keep the card shut. I will take 2 dimensionals here and kind of position it closer. So this way I don't measure and I will not have glue where I don't need to have it. So we're gonna go ahead and put it here. Add little jar, and let's do it with dimensionals as well. So what do you think about this fold? Is this easy enough? Did you try it? I think it popped up like this week. I'm not sure, maybe because I was looking for something unusual. I actually saw quite a few with that particular fold. I could not believe I never tried it before. So here you have it. It's kind of interesting way to open and close your cards. So what do you think? So now let's move, like I was saying, a little bit more complicated. So as you could see, this one has much more layers, right? So again, pretty simple as well, but it has kind of designer paper, and then designer paper could be just laid straight to the card base, right? Or you could just add matte. So this mat is 1/8 of the inch. I will post all the dimensionals. But this is what you could do. So if you decided you wanted to use designer paper, I use 3x4, it's your big piece, and then 2 pieces, 1/7/8 by 2, so not quite square. And then if you decided to do a mat is just kind of cardstock that's peeking around, then you will do 1/8 bigger than your designer paper. So this is what I decided to do on this one. So again, we're doing absolutely the same as we did before. So where's my supplies for this card? Oh, let me put this card out. It's fun stamp. I think it came, I want to say 2 years ago. Or maybe last year in the catalog. I'm trying to decide. And I always wanted to do a class with that, but I didn't have a chance. So this time we're gonna use our piece of paper, very vanilla for inside. Here is 2 pieces, and I'm using the same paper. I mean, look at this paper. Just has this copper piece. And then here is 2 other mats and designer paper. And designer paper, we're gonna use slightly different. This I love, and paper has this kind of little metallic into it. So the same, I'm suggesting you first to adhere your kind of bottom piece, that funky fold. And wet glue is the best to use for that one. So we're gonna glue it here. And tone on tone kind of look easier to glue, right? Because you don't really see those sharp edges. And remember how I was saying, see, mine kind of folds pretty good, but sometimes it could be on its way. And then you're gonna glue your mat to designer paper. And this is nice because it's 3x4 piece of designer paper. So, and this one pretty much 2x2. So if you have your standard either 6x6 or 12x12, you will be able to use all of it. Will not have kind of those odd strips. So this is what I like about some of those folds. And it's a little bit smaller mat, so it's all right. And then those 2 pieces. Just when you're gonna glue, kind of, it's not quite square, so you need to position them correctly. All right. See, if you had this mixed colors like we did in first card, you instantaneously have a different color of mat, and it's already kind of gives a focal point. So I noticed I like that look a lot. All right, here. And then we're gonna glue our piece inside. And you could decorate inside with anything you would like. You could stamp, and we will stamp those small leaves. And then you put your piece. Just to have more kind of finished look, right? So you don't see that seam. I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to do that, you probably, now I was just thinking, you could probably have this piece kind of smaller and kind of tuckle behind. But this way, it's kind of everything folds. So here, your basic thing is. And for this one as well, I picked a copper sheet. So this is layering oval, and this is the biggest stitched oval. So it seems like I like oval or rectangular square shapes the most. I didn't try with labels. So circle, I guess, need to be pretty much in the middle. So the same for this one. We're gonna use those punches and that stamp set. It's really fun builder stamp set for 2 steps. But also it has an outline. So if you decided you don't want to do two steps and kind of put those little pieces, you could just simply color it with blend. So you could see I did color those leaves just with blends. It's just faster than do maybe two-step stamping. So we're gonna use Cajun Craze. I actually wanted to use Cajun Craze base, and I like this color, but it's not something that I use more, only in like this time of the year. During fall I use it a lot, and I was looking and I'm just half sheet only, unless I didn't look far enough. So I'm like, I'm out of Cajun Craze, needs to be ordered ASAP, almost emergency. I do have a stack of paper and always kind of like to have extras we're gonna use for class. So we're gonna stamp the sentiment. My heart is grateful for you. Really nice stamp set. And I decided I'm gonna go ahead and stamp those sleeves in the bottom. You could add designer paper. Again, I'm not going for perfection, not even measuring. So 4 leaves fitting perfectly. All right. And what we're gonna do exactly the same as we did with the first card. So that here our shape, that's gonna be our focal point. To that copper. And the shape is a little bit smaller. See what I like with the wet glue? See, I didn't position it exactly right, but I have a couple seconds to move it. And after it's kind of cured, you will not be able to move. So the same, it's smaller shape, so I put 1 on top and 2 here, dimensionals. And we're gonna do it this way. So again, compared to last week, I think this card is super simple. And now we will just simply decorate with those shapes. So I did pre-stamp, and this is what is kind of fun. That's a punch, it's less trio punches. So it comes 3 of them. And it could be used on cardstock. And also what is cool, it's the designer paper have a similar images. So you could actually punch a designer paper. And then we're gonna use this one. I think we only need 2. So this one I also, I stamped with Cajun Craze and colored with the light Cajun Craze. And this one is stamped with crumb cake and colored with light mint macaron. I did mint macaron and another one, so I think it needs a little bit more color. And the acorn, my favorite. I think this is light soft suede and dark crumb cake. Again, you do have two-step stamping, so you could use those. So we'll just glue the leaves, and we add acorn with dimensionals, and here we have it. So what do you think about these fall cards? Yeah, Sherry, that the paper has those images. Like this one, you see, I could have simply take piece of paper and just punch it, and basically don't have extra work. But I like stamping. I think every card needs to have a little bit of stamping. So in my opinion, this card could be easily mass-produced. Could be like invitation for inside, like put you invited and then put stuff inside. So a lot of possibility with this fold. I really like it. It's not overly complicated, and I believe I could remember easily. The previous one that we did, I definitely will need to pull my kind of cheat sheet to see how to cut. Or how to score, but this one is pretty straightforward. And technically, so this little square, little thing almost a square, but you could probably do smaller and do this piece bigger, right? So kind of have a line in different positions. So it's probably will be cool as well. I'll need to try that. Here you go. And here, this one. And for finished touch, we're gonna add those champagne rhinestones. I was thinking about any embellishment that I wanted to have. It's kind of a copper look. This is what I had on hands. Just 3 of those and we are finished. Let's take the big one. Here you go. So let me know what you think. Where's our... This one? Where's my copper one? This is the one. So I think I like with the copper. It just stands much more and it's much more kind of bling. And here is 2 another ones. So ready to see a Christmas one? Of course I needed to do a Christmas. I didn't use that extra pieces from the kit. I still may, but I decided to use the designer paper that I have plenty left for 4 seasons. So here is 2 Christmas cards I made with that. So as you could see, this one, they both, I actually decided to do kind of different paper, right? Mix and match. So I use this one with different color. And this one is red. So this one is just designer paper. I didn't do extra matting. I did extra matte here because designer paper is the same color. So let me know what you think. I think it's pretty cool, fun card to do. Still have an idea to do more of those. So hope you like it. Think it was pretty quick to do. I will post instructions. I know I still own the instructions from last week. It's something that's going to be posted on my blog today. And if you have any other ideas, what you would like to see or which stamp set, I'm open to that. Also, if it's something that you may like to see, the treat holders and things like that. 3D items are my favorite. Also wanted to remind you, if you never try Paper Pumpkin from Stampin' Up, you have less than a week left. It's gonna be Hello Pumpkin, gonna be a theme, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be some fun images that you could use on your regular cards, and you have till 10th to subscribe. I was actually, when I was on vacation, what I did assemble last month's Paper Pumpkin, and I was actually blown away. I was looking, when I received kit, it was cool, right? But when I was actually assembling it, and it was so much fun. So just don't forget about that. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got some ideas what to do. Post your pictures if you try this fold. Again, it's super easy. If you want to practice first, take some older paper. You could use designer paper or without designer paper. I think it's a lot of possibilities. Thank you so much for watching. Please share, please comment, and until next time, happy stamping. Bye.